What's going on, guys? Back with another video. Today we're going to be looking at the entire Bad Batch, at least the figures that have been released so far. I'm assuming at some point that we'll get an Omega and of course an Echo. We do have the ARC Trooper Echo, but we're going to need the Bad Batch version of Echo to kind of complete the team. I saw that they're releasing another version of Rex wearing the cloak as he appeared in the Bad Batch series. That's going to be a Walmart exclusive, if I remember correctly. But his helmet is actually a little bit different on that version as well. He has the flip down visor, similar to Commander Bly. So of course I'll see if I can get my hands on that, but Walmart exclusives are pretty difficult to get in store anyway. If you don't get the pre-order in on time, it's going to be tough. You're probably going to be paying scalper prices. Now, I did do a review of Hunter and Crosshair previously, so I'll link to that video if you want a more in-depth kind of review on those two. Aside from that, we're going to take a close-up look at Tech and Wrecker and obviously see kind of what accessories they come with, articulation, paint apps, that sort of thing. I'm not going to spoil it just in case for some strange reason people haven't seen the series yet. I don't want to give any spoilers or anything, but there's going to be an alternate version of Crosshair that's coming out in action figure form. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start out by recapping Hunter and Crosshair, and then we'll move into Wrecker, and finally Tech. So let's go ahead and do it. Alright guys, so one thing I wanted to touch on real quick that I missed on the first video is that Crosshair's rifle actually separates into two different pieces. So in the last video I showed you that you could store it in the little slot on the backpack, but you can actually separate it so that part of it slots in and then the long barrel piece just pegs into the side. Taking another look at Hunter, he's a good figure. The only downside to him is that he doesn't have any holsters. He comes with two different pistols, but he only has one hand with a trigger finger on it, so you're pretty much just going to have to store one of the weapons somewhere else. I suppose you could probably take a razor blade or something and kind of cut free his other trigger finger if you wanted on the left hand, but just right out of the box, that's one downside to him. Other than that, overall solid figure. Alright, so now taking a look at Wrecker, he comes with his helmet, of course, a long knife that you can store on the side of his right leg, and also a blaster. The ball peg on the head makes it real easy to get him looking in different positions. Even with his helmet on, you still get pretty good movement, and the upper torso swivel also helps you get him in a variety of different poses. He is, however, not as posable as the smaller figures. As I suspected in the last video, they did release Wrecker as a deluxe figure, so he's bigger than the regular standard figures that we get, and as a result, his armor somewhat limits his posability. We do get single jointed elbows and legs. You get good mobility from the ankles, and his shoulder pads do get out of the way pretty well. The shoulder pads are attached to the upper torso piece and not the shoulder itself, so they do rise up to get out of the way, but they're not attached directly to the shoulder like Casca Reeves, for example. So instead of folding under the upper torso, they kind of just rise up, so they do get in the way a bit more than if they were attached the other way, but they still look good, and I don't think you'll have too much trouble from them. As we've seen with other figures in the Black Series line, the majority of deco work is done to the front of the figure and the back is left pretty much untouched. It does help that Wrecker has a backpack though. That helps bring some color to the back, but you don't get as much wear and tear on the back of the figure as you do on the front. Which is okay because most people are going to be posing them with the front facing anyways. I do like the paint apps that they used on Wrecker's helmet. They look fairly consistent with the animated series as far as I can tell. I didn't do like a one-to-one look on all these figures to see how they exactly compare to the screen version, so there may be some differences that I didn't quite pick up on, but just looking at them from memory, they look pretty close to what I remember seeing on screen. The head sculpt does have the scarring on the left side of Wrecker's face, as well as the whited out eye that we see from the animated series. I think they could have added maybe a little bit of a pinkish tone to the scarring, or even a darker tone to make it stand out a bit, but you can definitely tell it's there when you're looking up close on the figure. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with Wrecker. I think they may have been able to get a little bit more movement out of the elbows and knees, but they probably would have had to sacrifice some on the armor. And because he's not a guy who's going to be real agile anyways, I don't have a problem with it. So Wrecker is about what I expected him to be, so overall, I'm real happy with it. So taking a look at tech, I'm going to go ahead and start out with some of the negative things, and then I'll move into the positives, because I do think there are a lot more positive things about this figure. But in terms of negative, unfortunately, we don't get tech with his glasses on like we see him in the animated series. And I think a bigger issue for a lot of people is the helmet doesn't have clear translucent plastic for the eyepieces, because on the show you're able to see through them. Instead, they opted to go for a gold paint, which I don't really have a problem with that. Before we ever saw the prototype of tech, I was wondering how they were going to pull that helmet off, because I was looking at it and I'm like, I don't think Hasbro is going to go through the trouble of putting translucent plastic in the helmet. I didn't know how they were going to do it. They have added translucency in the past to the helmets for like Snowspeeder Luke, any of the X-Wing fighter pilots, stuff like that. So we have seen the translucent pieces previously, but I think they were a lot easier to pull off on those helmets versus this, where you need really two little small pieces of translucent plastic. Or maybe they could have used one piece that goes across. I'm not really sure. But this is what we ended up with. A bigger issue for me, I think, is the fact that he doesn't wear the glasses, but I can understand why they didn't do that, because, you know, putting the helmet on over top of it, it would be kind of difficult to put glasses on him. And overall, it really doesn't bother me that much. I still think Tech is a great figure. So now let's focus on a little bit more of the things that I do like about this figure. So taking a look at Tech, he has a lot of interesting things going on here. In terms of accessories, he comes with a blaster pistol, his helmet, and his backpack. But on his belt, there are 3 different tools that can slot into the little loops there on the side. So I'm happy to see that they did that, so you can have Tech working on different things like he pretty much always is. I like the backpack as well, because it's not just a square or anything. It has a lot of different detail to it, and it also has antennas sticking up on it. He has pouches wrapped around his shin area as well, and as you can see, they aren't identical. So I think that helps give him a unique look, where we're not just getting the same pieces here and there. You can also see that his armor is a lot lighter than the other members of the team. The visor on Tech's helmet also folds down. It, just like the eyepieces, use a gold paint instead of translucent plastic. But, you know, like I've already talked about, I kind of understand why they went that route. There's also 2 antennas, one on each side of the helmet. The color combination of black, brown, light gray, red, and the gold accents really make Tech an interesting figure to look at. There's a lot going on. The different pouches, the different tools on him, his backpack, his helmet. Because of all those things, I think Tech may be my favorite figure out of the 4, followed by Wrecker and then Crosshair. Hunter, like I said, because he doesn't have somewhere to store his second pistol, it's really kind of annoying, because I hate losing those things. But it's not a fault of Hasbro, it's just the design of Hunter. That's how it came. So can't really complain about having an extra pistol. I just wish there was storage. These 4 are definitely figures that you should pick up if you're into the Bad Batch. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. I'm curious to see what Echo's going to look like, and can't wait to get my hands on him, and hopefully they give us an Omega. So that does it for me, guys. This is the 4 figures from the Bad Batch. I'm sure we'll be getting some more. Like I said, Rex has already been announced, and there is a variant of Crosshair coming out as well, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys for watching. As always, thank you for your support, and I'll see you on the next video.